Hello, adventurers. My name's Tyler.
And I'm Richard.
On today's episode, we're talking about officially supported third-party content on D&D Beyond. Welcome to True Strike.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the show. Today we are talking third-party content, but not just any third-party content. We're talking Worthey-supported third-party content.
Huge. Yes, we've seen a little bit of this a bit ago, and we'll get to it. With Critical Role, that was kind of the first thing. We've seen, especially with them, they have the official Dungeons & Dragons WotC published Critical Role books, Wild Mount, stuff like that. But yeah, we've seen some of Critical Role's own Daring to Press published things pop up on D&D Beyond recently.
Yeah, this is honestly something that I wasn't sure we were going to see.
Yeah, exactly.
And not like that we would never see third-party content officially supported, but it was with the whole OGL controversy.
Yeah.
So thinking back to the beginning of the year and where we were at as far as content was considered, and how everybody that did create third-party content from D&D was all like, uh-oh, we're done.
Yep.
Nobody's making third-party content for WotC anymore. And now we're back here, and we're making third-party content. And not only are we making third-party content, but we're getting fully supported third-party content.
Right.
Which is pretty exciting.
In my favorite place to have it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's I think that's the biggest thing when we say officially supported third-party content. What we're really talking about here is D&D Beyond.
Right.
So not just officially supported where you can go download your PDFs, your print and plays and everything like that. We're talking about actual D&D Beyond supported material, which is next level when it comes to
easily
how you're accessing your data.
It's how we access really everything. If we're playing Dungeons & Dragons, we are almost exclusively using D&D Beyond whenever we can.
Yeah.
Right now in our home game, you're using some not officially supported
third party yet.
Exactly.
Not supported
I
yet.
Can see it.
Oh, I
can see
God,
it.
I hope so. Yeah, so I'm back to the basics right now with the pen and a pad, which is working, yes, but we definitely have felt the pains of it.
Already?
I know I have. I don't know if you have felt the same way. We felt the pains of it being a almost exclusively Beyond using party for all of our campaigns, except for our little one shots that aren't Dungeons and Dragons.
Right, of course.
Yeah, but anything Dungeons and Dragons we've been running in D&D Beyond. All of my main characters are in D&D Beyond.
In our home game, we always try to play in person, but schedules don't always align. This most recent game is a good example of that, where we all played online on Discord. And using the encounter builder on D&D Beyond, we were able to go through, set up a combat, see everyone's health pools and everything like that. And you had to use an old character to
roll,
just be your fill-in and roll on there digitally. And it's not the same hit die and everything, hit pool, and it's tracking. It's a little weird. And every time I saw their name, I was like, nope, that's not their name.
Yeah.
And I'm not able to go on your character sheet on there and look at your stuff and reference on the fly like I could everyone else, where, I know the barbarian's turn's coming up. Let me go to their page really quick just so I can check out their stuff if they have any questions. I've already got it loaded up. And when it got to your turn, I just had to know you had it handled, and I had to just wait and see what you're going to do. I couldn't look ahead at all, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's different to our current flow of things.
Yeah, it does change the flow in pretty much any game, not even just online. When you think about it, really, when you're using D&D Beyond, you have this extremely quick, high-level access to literally everything, and not just
as a player and the DM.
Yeah, as a player and a DM, because as a DM, you can load up my character sheet, look at my spell list. You know exactly what's there. If you don't remember a specific spell, you can just click it.
Right.
There's the information right there. Me playing a experimental class, number one, it's not in D&D Beyond. Right. Number two, there are spells on there that aren't in D&D Beyond because they are not in D&D.
It's true.
So these are spells that are test level spells,
yeah.
Which means that you got to be able to reference those. So, we have a printout of my character. I have a printout of my character.
Yep.
So it is a little bit harder to do that. And that's the cool thing about third party is that you can do stuff like this. You can have these experimental classes, the experimental spells, experimental monsters,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it's a lot easier when you're dealing with Beyond because everything is kind of just there at your fingertips. The whole "it's never been easier"
Yeah, it's
is
true.
true. It has never been easier. It really makes things so much more streamlined and so much better that it's exciting to see that we have people that are now established
Mhm.
creating third party content that can be consumed in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're at that, I guess we might as well touch on, Critical Role's Tal'Dorei Reborn,
Yeah.
which had been self-published and released. I think it was about a year ago.
Yep.
And it was the Reborn side of that is that this was a remaster of sorts and fine-tuning of, the book they'd pushed out earlier, years ago. It's back and it was great. And I had always wanted to purchase it, but none of my local gaming stores have it. And I didn't want to pick it up online because there's some, within a drive, a decent little drive of us that do carry it in store. So I was going to pick it up, but always knowing digital's my preference. I still plan on picking it up physically, but man, I wish it was on D&D Beyond because I don't want to buy the PDF. What am I going to do with that? Same thing to me as having the book. Now, fast forward to more recent times, and a couple months ago, and I open up the D&D Beyond app, and would you know it? It's there. And I'm like, whoa, that's new and exciting. And okay, well, I get it. Critical Role has already done stuff with these guys before.
Established.
They're
Yep.
established relationship here. They're helping each other out with this, but it's awesome. It means, and I immediately purchased it. I think I messaged you and I was
Yeah.
like, look at all the things. Feel free to choose any of this stuff going forward. It's all available. Like, that's awesome. And I love it. And you can access it. I can share it, etc. And I was like, cool. That's established relationship. It's nice to see that. I hope this opens up the doors for other third-party content. Fast forward to maybe a week or two ago, similar thing happens with Ghostfire Gaming, and very specifically for us looking up, the Dungeon Dudes put out a video saying that the Dungeons of Drakkenheim, which I have physically right down there,
Right down
a
there.
little rat, blushy right here, all from that. Whoa! Because that's another world I've wanted to run games in, and I have all the miniatures and the dice and everything for it. And it's like, okay, back to basics, pen and paper. It, is what it is. I definitely prefer D&D Beyond, but that's not an option. It never will be an option, and now it's an option.
Yeah, and now it's an option.
I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double dip. I'm gonna rebuy these books digitally, of course.
Well, because the ease of access, everything gets so much better. Yeah.
And wow, this is super exciting. And just to touch on that too, not the only book that they put out.
Yeah.
Ghostfire Gaming also released Layers of Theris on there as well. Also to my surprise, because when I went on D&D Beyond looking for Dungeons & Drakkenheim, I saw that too, and I was like, oh my goodness, what else is coming out today? And I think it was just the two.
Yeah.
But the door feels pretty wide open right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the most exciting thing is that it's the door opening. And not to say that Dungeon Dudes isn't like big, right? And that Dungeons and Drakkenheim isn't big.
Right.
But when we're thinking about like when it happened with Critical Role, like it was a surprise.
Yes.
But it wasn't like a huge surprise, right? Because one, you're dealing with, an established relationship. We know how deep Critical Role is into the ecosystem and where they stand in the hierarchy of everything. They're also massive. Like absolutely. They are a juggernaut of basically product, right?
For TTRPG groups, they're the top.
Exactly. Yeah. So not to say that, the Dungeon Dudes aren't like top tier.
No, they're great. Yeah.
But we're talking different levels here.
Yeah.
And the fact that we see Dungeon Dudes come in makes this door look like it's so much easier to walk through. Right. And like I said, I'm not trying to talk down Dungeon Dudes or anything like that, because they're great and their product is amazing.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But the very fact that this is happening is super exciting, because then the question is now, what's next?
Exactly.
Like, how easy is it going to be for creators to become officially supported and get in onto this whole thing?
Yeah. There's good questions there, and I wonder if we'll ever find out. Was this a WotC approaching Ghostfire Gaming, or was this the other way around?
The other way around. Yeah.
And if so, yeah, what's the procedure? What's it going to take for Kobold Press if they were, they've got their own system and stuff now. If they were to be like, hey, let's officially release some of this stuff, especially the loads of content they've already made for
Oh, yeah.
5e.
So much of it.
What's it take for them to get their stuff officially supported?
Yeah.
Is it possible? It seems like it's not impossible.
Yeah. It seems like it's not impossible. And it's best. It's not best for, it's good for everyone involved.
Yes.
Right. Because it's not bad for WotC, because it now has more material, more options for players, more appealing along. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for Kobold Press if they were to do it, because now their material is more out there. Right.
Yeah.
So they're now more known and everything like that. So it's a win-win for everybody. But your question of like, who came first, like, was it the chicken or the egg? So
Sure.
did WotC approach them, or did they approach WotC? Is really the one that I'm curious the most about, because I am curious to know timetables.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how long did this deal take? Was this deal in the works during the OGL controversy?
Ooh, maybe it got slowed down because of it.
And it got slowed down because of it?
Or is this caused because of the OGL controversy?
Yeah. Now, that's the question. Is it like, when did, I don't know if we'll ever know the answer to that.
Because my gut reaction to that is, this is them trying to backpedal, get good graces as much as possible. Yes, the math, the olive, it's just the tree.
The olive tree.
Yes.
They went to the nursery.
Yeah.
The branch isn't going to do.
Like, hey, we thank you for covering us. Thank you for releasing this content, 5e. Here's all this stuff. What if, you come on D&D Beyond, I make a little something, you make the other something, and everybody wins. And maybe that's exactly what happened. And it's kind of just we need to show that we're willing to work with creators very openly and publicly.
Yeah.
To gain back as much trust as possible. Or was this already in the works?
Was it already in the works? Yeah. And that's kind of where, like, if I had to guess, if I was a betting man,
yeah,
I feel like it was probably already in the works close to the OGL.
Really?
And that's just because my whole thought process is it cannot be easy to get to this point as far as publishing, right? I know they were already, like, there's a book and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
So that part is done. But there has to be, like, a whole extra step as far as, like, legal teams looking over documents to make sure that what's being published now to the masses online is acceptable. So another editing, essentially, like another proofreading, another editing, another approval setup that has to go through. And corporate America is slow. Anybody that works in it knows that. Everybody that looks at red tape knows that. So it seems like this would take a bit of time to do. So it's something that didn't happen, I would imagine, in the last 2 months.
Or did it?
Did it? I don't know. I don't feel like it would.
I mean, the content's already made. Sure, you'd have to have everything read through, etc.
And then adapted to online media, getting it onto their services.
At the end of the day, it sounds like it was WotC and Ghostfire Gaming really hashing out all the finer details.
Yeah.
There are two companies that are published and are...
Yeah.
My gut says this was after.
You think it was after?
This is more olive branch than not, but
maybe
100% could see it being
I could see it being something that was in the works around the time of the OGL, could not be discussed because of NDAs. Yeah, so it couldn't be brought up then, couldn't be brought up, until way later. And then at that point it was what's the point of bringing it up? And then let's just move forward with the publishing. And that's just because I would think that it would take some time to get something like this happening. But maybe I'm completely wrong, and it is something that can happen quickly. And if it can happen quickly, so that's the other thing, is that if this is something that didn't happen, so if you're right, they hashed this out in the last 2 months, right? That has some pretty greater implications as far as how easy it is to get material into the system. Because if it's that fast and all you have to do is have essentially a published product of some format, be it hard copy or maybe a print and play kind of a setup. If it's that easy to translate that into D&D Beyond and become officially licensed third-party material, then this makes it easy for all kinds of people and all kinds of companies. And that means that we have a lot more options possibly coming.
Yeah, good point. my last thing for my stance for actually, I thought of while you were talking about that. The Dungeon Dudes, along with, of course, Jenny D, good friends of, the two shows, were two of the channels that were most out for blood when
Yes.
it came to the
Yeah.
OGL stuff. So if they already had this in the works, because, part of this is, it came out that some creators had already seen the offering and everything ahead of time, and if they accepted early, they would get a better percentage.
Yes.
So potentially, let's say Dungeon Dudes, Ghost Friend Gaming, hypothetically, were some of those that had already received the thing. You would think they wouldn't be out there openly going against this so hard then, maybe.
Or would you?
I
Because
don't know.
now it kind of goes back to the whole, like, that actually, I think I would argue the opposite.
Ooh.
Is that if I was in that
Yeah.
situation, whereas, like, okay, I'm talking with the company, we want to publish this stuff officially on their license and everything is going great. The OGL is awesome. This is really going to work out for us. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, we're also renegotiating. And they slide that paper across the table that now says that your profit margins are changing drastically.
Were they, though?
And that you're not going
I wanna
to
know.
own that property. We're going to own that property now.
Right.
I'm going to be extra angry.
Yeah.
Because we're, like, in the middle of this negotiation, and now you're saying this to me, and now I'm going to be more blood in the water.
So this wasn't, in your version of this deal hadn't been completed.
It
This
hadn't
wasn't
been completed. Yeah,
yes.
it was begun
It had
around the
began.
controversy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which would
That's
make
definitely
that, which
possible.
would explain why they were so upset when the OGL happened. Not to say that like, being upset at the OGL is non-warranted.
Right.
That, it's its own conversation there. But it would explain why they were very adamant, especially compared to some other creators, because they had skin in the game, maybe. This is all conjecture.
Yeah, totally.
And it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, except for, like I said, the implications of fast publishing.
Yeah.
And like I said, if this didn't exist then it's a good sign, I think, for anybody that is interested in getting their stuff onto D&D Beyond. Because if it's that easy, it's never been easier.
Right. Yeah. It's either way, like you mentioned, it's here. Oh man, I'm just excited for this. And what do you think this? Oh man, hold on. Let me put the thoughts. Let's stir them up, shake it out, spit it out. DM's Guild.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm typically expecting to find content like this released digitally.
Your third party. Yeah.
WotC gets their little piece of the pie from that, because that's where all the third party stuff typically officially supported by WotC, but not D&D Beyond, is through DM's Guild. Are they cutting off DM's Guild, moving towards a D&D Beyond model?
Is it going to affect DM's Guild? Absolutely.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think it's going to, yeah, because I mean, like, now you're going to cut into DM's Guild traffic. Even DM's Guild still exists, which it's probably going to.
Will it though?
I think so. I think DM's Guild will exist, and hear me out. We'll get to the end
I'm
of the
hearing.
argument. I think the DM's Guild will exist. I think that DM's Guild is going to feel this because you are taking away traffic. So let's just say, for example, I have my module that I've created and I have it hosted on DM's Guild, and this is pre this third party break, right?
Yeah.
I have this hosted, and now for the next 2 years, everybody that's using this content, they're going to DM's Guild to get that content because that's where it is hosted.
Yep.
A year into this, I get approached by WotC. They want me third party officials on D&D Beyond. Now I'm on D&D Beyond. People that are coming back for my content because it's so awesome and so great are no longer trafficking to DM's Guild. They're going to D&D Beyond to get that. That's going to happen to them. That's going to happen to DM's Guild no matter what moving forward. They're going to get their traffic cut into because of the fact that now some of that material is eventually, hypothetically and hopefully, going to transfer over to D&D Beyond. It still might exist on DM's Guild, but why are you going to go there for it if it's in D&D Beyond?
Yeah.
You're not going to. So that traffic that you would normally be sending there is going to go away. However, this is why I don't think DM's Guild is going anywhere, is that not everything is going to be third party supported. And even if it is, so like, let's just say that they're trying to be DM's Guild.
Yeah.
And they're just going to start taking in stuff. Like, just send us an email with all your attachments. We're going to send it to the review team. In 2 months, it'll be officially supported in D&D Beyond as long as it playtests well and checks all the passes all the checks and everything like that. there's still going to be that stopgap time period where you're going to have this content that's waiting to be put onto D&D Beyond. Where you're going to host it? Where's it going to go? It's going to go to DM's Guild. What if your stuff isn't ready for published and it needs to be play tested by people? Where's it going to go? It's going to go to DM's Guild. So that's why I think they're still going to exist, because not everything is going to hit the pipeline and make it a D&D Beyond. I think maybe they will, who knows, but I assume not everything is going to make it there.
Right.
And there has to be a home for the misfit children. And the Isle of the Misfit Toys is going to be DM's Guild still. And that's for playtesting or stuff that's just not going to make it onto D&D Beyond. And there's also that little subsection, which we're going to talk about, which is stuff that will never be approved for D&D Beyond.
Right.
Because there is content that will never be approved for D&D Beyond. Because at the end of the day, they are a family company, and they do have to be careful what they publish. And there is a lot of not family rated content, right, that can be hosted elsewhere that is never going to make it into D&D Beyond. And that stuff's going to have a home. So why wouldn't that be DM's Guild?
Well, I mean, DM's Guild is still WotC official, so I'm sure there's guidelines and stuff they have to follow there.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're less stringent than
Are
D&D
they?
Beyond.
Are they?
You don't think?
It's possible, but also that was started up years ago versus their modern values.
True.
Okay. I think D&D Beyond's done for, or DM's Guild, sorry, is done for.
Oh, harsh.
Yeah. I think with the way they're going and the acquisition of D&D Beyond, which they didn't always own D&D Beyond.
No, that's true.
This was a purchase, a merger, so to speak. And now that they're trying to get their eggs in this basket, they don't need DM's Guild anymore. D&D Beyond fills that. What you do is you take this old stuff that's PDF only, you host it on D&D Beyond on Marketplace as legacy content. It's PDF only. It's still there to purchase, everything nice, one clean site. And then there's officially supported third-party content where creators can go through and they have creator tools where they can make class, because right now you can't make races and stuff like that, actual classes, but you can do subclasses and things like that using creator tools, as in just as a DM, I can go on there right now and make subclasses and weapons, magic items, things like that.
Yeah.
So why not open that list up just a little bit for creators to go on and make third-party content, and they sell third-party content with, a little star thing, and you have access to it, and you can give your players access to third-party content, including check, this weird thing. Because at the end of the day, it's your game. Who cares if they don't agree that your frog deity class or needs to, balance, has issues, whatever. It's your game. You allowed it. You bought it and you left the little checkbox. Your players could use that, whatever. And then the old stuff, if it's not, because I don't think it has to be them. I don't think it has to be Wizards of the Coast going on and adding all the bits and checkboxes for and information for your players to have access to. I think the creators can do that. They can handle that themselves. And it's up to the consumer to decide whether it's really worth the purchase or not.
I don't know.
I mean,
I think
we'll
that's
see.
putting a lot of control out of their hands. And I think you're getting closer to the hot mess that is the D&D
Guild?
wiki. No, I'm talking about like the extreme homebrew scene.
So maybe it does have to be approved. Either way.
Because I don't know if you've been on there recently.
No, never.
And
I don't go on D&D wiki.
There are YouTubers that use that as a source of subject matter.
No, we don't talk about the D&D wiki.
Because of the stuff that's on there.
We shouldn't be talking about it now.
Is insanity. And that's basically what you're saying, right? Is that you're going to open it up to be that part, a subsection of D&D Beyond? Where
you still have to meet the community guidelines. Okay. Everything you make has to be, because that's how it is now with D&D Beyond. You have to meet certain guidelines. Otherwise, you're gone. So, especially if you're looking to sell stuff. And I don't think they already, when you publish on DM's Guild, everything you publish becomes owned in one way or another by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
So you've already given them
You've already
license to your
given
stuff.
them, yeah, your
For them to
IP.
take it there and move it to D&D Beyond is out of your control. They just can do it. And there is no reason for them to upkeep and manage 2 websites, including one that's probably getting less and less and less traction and, clicks, views, and everything else, when they could just funnel onto one site, get as much traffic as possible into one place, because D&D Beyond is the place you go for your D&D content.
Okay, yeah, I can see it. I guess it really comes down to how they're going to handle it. Like, are they really looking to cut out that entire team? Because if so, that's kind of sad for the DMs Guild folk.
How many people are there?
Who knows?
Do you want to move them over?
Do you need to move them over?
I don't know. Maybe though, because these are people that are your TP. What am I saying? You're keeping up and maintaining DM's Guild, right? Which means you have a particular set of skills that are now going to be needed on D&D Beyond.
On D&D Beyond's
if
back
you're
end.
moving the same content over. And D&D Beyond might be newer to this kind of work, because this public market isn't something they do currently necessarily. I mean, like I said, you can homebrew stuff and share that with the community all day long. And it's similar to that, but with money involved. So there could be some cool crossplay there. And since they own both companies, why not? If WotC's still signing the check, or Hasbro or whatever.
Yeah, if they're still striking the check, then I guess it does make sense. The app will definitely need some work.
Oh yeah.
If we're introducing.
Have you been on the D&D Beyond app lately? Like, speaking of app, the app has changed.
So the last couple of games that we've played, I actually haven't used the app, because in the past it's been not a pleasant experience.
Right.
I've been using the browser version on my tablet,
so
instead of using
just
the app.
handing you this.
Oh, it looks different already.
It already has been updated.
Yeah, it has been updated.
Yeah,
okay.
It shows you more recent books or player or characters, stuff like that. Spells you've looked up recently on your front page. And what would it take to have one more tab for market? Or not just market, but third-party content.
I accidentally clicked your characters tab
Yeah.
and saw some of the names of characters that you have here. I'm not going to read them out loud,
Why
because
not?
there's some fun ones in here. But one of them, it made me giggle. But yes.
Well, now which one are we talking about? I think I know which one.
Yeah. But yes. So yeah, it does look like they are working on the app, which is good. But I think it will definitely need some serious overhauls if we're going to basically have it take over the entire role of DM's Guild, in addition to everything that it's currently doing.
Yeah.
Because I think right now the app would struggle with that amount of content.
I think they're up to the task, though. I think this is it has to be. If they want, they're already going to be introducing more and more. They've got the maps system right now that's an alpha that is, it's usable. I think it'd be great for remote games. We tried using it in person, and man, there's a lot of hoops to go through for using this in person. I don't think it's designed for using it in person right now, but when they demonstrated using it, not only was it 3D whatever instead of the 2D like it is now, but they were using it in person. And I think a lot of groups are going to want to use a virtual map on the table where the DM sits on one side and throws it up using D&D Beyond with all the character models and everything already ready. And you really can't do that without sharing your screen, and the players see everything that's under the fog anyway. So you have to open up like a secondary window with another character logged in. And it's such a pain in the butt. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why is there not a player view that you can display to the second screen? But it's an alpha.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll get to it eventually.
We'll get there eventually, yeah.
But you've got this coming up, right? You've got the new versions of the books coming up. There's a lot of new and exciting things coming to Dungeons & Dragons in the year of our Lord 2024. Why not a revamp that we've just kicked off of the third-party content? And a revamp of maybe a DM's Guild merger, maybe, kind of thing? Is it even a merger if they're the same
if they
company?
just kill it?
Right? I mean, my biggest concern is, because I don't remember, honestly. Is your D&D Beyond account and your DM's Guild account the same account? Is it the same login?
It's not the same
I
login.
didn't think so.
No.
So there would have to be some way. They'd have to have an account linking
They're
set
going
up.
to have, yeah, essentially. It's not going to be so clean because.
They can't have you just not own everything you already bought.
Yeah, because they're going to have to figure out a way for you to own everything that's there.
Yeah.
If they're going to transfer everything over.
But that's doable too.
Yeah.
They
it's
wouldn't
not
be the first
impossible.
company to have done that.
Yeah, it's not impossible. It's just, it's probably going to take a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe they've been working on it.
Maybe they have been. Yeah. If you really, you made some good points, and there's
so
a
did you.
very distinct possibility that DM's Guild is gone. And if that's the case, this is not the first discussion that's ever been had about it, obviously. They are probably been discussing this.
Oh man, what was this? It was dnd.com, right? Was that? I'm probably misquoting the name of the website, but I believe it was last year. There was another Dungeons & Dragons website that they released things like the Unearthed Arcanas and things like that on before D&D Beyond. And once
this
they
is before
acquired,
they acquired D&D
once they
Beyond,
acquired D&D Beyond, they noticed traffic on there was significantly higher than their own site, so they canned that entirely and just said all of this is now on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going anyway.
Because that's where everybody's going.
And if they start supporting more and more official third-party content, why not? Just have all of your eggs in one basket, get as many eyes on D&D Beyond as possible, because then you're going to get the players that exclusively play third-party content, homebrew stuff, and they love DM's Guild. This is where they get all their stuff. They don't go to D&D Beyond because they do print and play. They don't do the digital character thing, and they're grumpy and don't ever want to change. They're set in their ways, Richard.
There's nobody like that exists.
It could
come on.
It couldn't
Let's
be better.
honest.
And well, maybe you rip a band-aid, you upset them, and you make them go to D&D Beyond if they want to keep accessing that content that they love. And while they're there, maybe they roll some digital dice. Maybe they do make a character because you get some for free on there. I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah, that's true. Which also brings another question too, which you kind of touched on a little bit when we were talking about the interactive maps and all that, is where does the VTT stand in all of this?
Oh my gosh. You mean as far as third party goes?
Yeah.
I'm third. The VTT feels like such a weird thing to me right now.
Yeah, that's the thing is about the VTT is it seems such a foreign concept because it seems more like when we had the discussion about the VTT before, it seems more like a video game than a tabletop game.
But
we do know that the VTT is going to support official content, right? So we know that a lot of official content is probably going to be in there. Now, this is where it gets hard, is because when you're dealing with first party content, that's easy for them to shunt teams to work on 3D models and to generate all this stuff. But now you have third party. So does that mean that if Dungeons of Drakkenheim wants to be in the VTT, they have to now present to WotC assets for the VTT? Because without that, you're just going to have to use default assets. Could you plug and play stats over, like just random models? Probably very easy. But I mean, anybody that's going to release content for the VTT is going to want to release content for the VTT. So they're going to want it to be flashy. They're going to want custom made stuff, especially if you start dealing with, custom races or species, or custom monsters and stuff like that. You don't want to have to use stand-in miniatures for that stuff.
Rebuttal. As is right now, granted, we've both watched the same advertisement from Wizards of the Coast where they're showing off the fancy Dwarven Forge like miniatures on the cool 3D world, and you move them around. It shows your distance for your spells and everything like that. We've watched this.
Yeah.
We know that's coming. That's not what we have right now.
No.
What we have right
not even
now
close.
Is a JPEG of a map, the official maps from the book, which is still incredibly useful because you can pull it up by the module you're running, sort the location and the map and everything, and pull that up for your players to see. If you're using D&D Beyond for that, you also can click on the campaign if you're running, have all your players in one campaign on there, and it uses their character token that they've already set as their image as the character. So you choose the party, boom, they all pop up on screen, and then any monsters that would be in the game or in the world in general that you have access to, you can pull from a slider or a little drop-down menu and place them on the board as well. Add your Fog of War, etc., whatever. Why not just that? You could have Dungeons & Drakkenheim go on, they've already uploaded all of their digital assets to D&D Beyond. You're accessing, essentially PDFs of all of this. So the maps are already there. The images are uploaded. Well, you go into the maps. Is it 3D? No, but it's this. All of the maps are available. They're on a drop down. You choose what map you want. Did they take the time? They've already uploaded character art for monsters and stuff in the game, probably. If they have custom ones, well, they just need to choose the token, like the cutout for the token. Is it the face of the monster? What is it? Boom. Now that monster's added in there too, because you have access to the monster, you have access to its stats. Why not add that to your dropdown? It would be there anyway if you're doing an encounter builder. So all of that information is already being uploaded. All that has to happen now is has to be sorted into the setup for the map, which in itself is just an extension of the encounter builder already on D&D Beyond. So you're just taking your encounter builder stuff, taking the tokens, 2D, placing them on a map, which is already on D&D Beyond, and boom, it's set up, ready to go. Is it 3D? No. But you don't have to have a whole team dedicated to building this up. We haven't even seen like the maps that are on there, the modules for Curse of Strahd and Wild Beyond the Witchlight, stuff like that. We haven't seen 3D recreations of any of these yet.
No.
So at this point, we think they're coming?
Oh, I think we know they're coming.
But they're not here yet.
No, we haven't seen them. But what we have seen is a very specific style and a very specific look to it. We know they're coming. There's going to be a Curse of Strahd.
Is there going to be? Is there going to be official first-party 3D recreations? Or is it just going to be making it up homebrew style with a level builder?
I think we will see texture packs that are specifically for Ravenloft. I think we're going to see texture packs specifically for a bunch of different
texture
modules.
Packs, I 100% agree. But are they going to do the work for you, or do you have to build it yourself?
No, I think that they're going to have available packs.
I hope so.
I think they're going to have, and if you know anything about like design or anything like that, if you look into like Unreal Engine and stuff like that, you have basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Not content packs. Resource packs.
Okay.
So you're going to have resource packs that will be all the stuff that you need to build those specific worlds. Right. And I think it'll be like you either buy the module as a whole, right? Or you piecemeal it out and you say like, I don't want to buy Ravenloft or Curse of Strahd, my bad. I want to buy Ravenloft resources. You'll buy those Ravenloft resources. You'll be able to use those to create your maps. What I don't think will happen is what you're describing, is being able to use 2D in a 3D environment. And the reason for that is continuity.
Well, I'm not saying 2D in a 3D environment.
Well, no. I'm just saying that like the VTT, generally speaking, is a 3D environment. They are billing it as a 3D experience,
right? Not
as a 2D flat experience. So that would be akin to like, say, Baldur's Gate 3, right? So that's out right now. We go home tonight, we log into Baldur's Gate 3. There's now third-party Baldur's Gate 3 content available, and we download a side quest thing. And we log in, and then we go and we zone off the map. And now instantly we're dealing with flat terrain with tokens.
Right.
It's going to be very disjointed for the players.
This is you assuming
to go from there to there.
This is you assuming that the maps as is going to go away.
No, I don't think it's going to go away. I think that's still going to exist in its own subset. But VTT is going to be there. So the question then is not that those two things are not going to exist simultaneously. The question is the VTT going to ignore third-party content?
Probably.
Or require specific things of people, like as in they're going to have to come in with their own packs, which means now you have somebody like the Dungeon Dudes, who is a small-scale publisher, right? So they're publishing tabletop games to now fundamentally becoming a AAA video game developer out of necessity to stay with the trajectory of Dungeons and Dragons, because that is the future that they're going to head to. They're probably trying to shoot for. And I'm sure if they had their way, that eventually in the dystopian future of tabletop gaming, the tabletop is referred to the table in which your computer is sitting on.
Right. I absolutely see a future where we've got both. We have maps as is, and that's where I think third-party content can thrive. You would still have access, and then I think that works best for local play, which is why I really want them to get the second screen thing figured out.
Yeah,
because that's the one you're going to throw up on your table and be able to flip through maps on a dime. Like you're just map. What do you need? Where are we at? Boom. You're in Ravenloft. This room. Oh, over here. This floor. Boom. Good to go. Discord, playing over Zoom, stuff like that. I think that's where your actual VTT is going to come into play, because if we sit in this room and we pull out our tablets and start playing D&D like this, I'm going to lose my mind. And I can't throw that on the table, on the map. It just feels weird. Like, all right, guys, take your tokens. Or I'm like, all right, tell me where you want to move. We're going to watch this video game of our characters move around the board. If you were at your place and I'm at my place and another player somewhere else, that's fun. I do like that, because then it is kind of the Baldur's Gate of across the internet. We're all sharing in basically a video game. We've had an episode about this. That's its own thing. I don't see myself using that as much as I would just traditional 2D maps, even though. And that's where I'm thinking, I do not think dungeon dudes are going to go in here, learn how to code, and make this, this sort of thing. I do think people will recreate maps from Dungeons & Dragonheim using the VTT toolset, but I don't think there'll be a officially supported pre-made VTT map pack.
So your official stance is there's no place for third party in the VTT.
For the 3-dimensional VTT, but for 2-dimensional map assets,
yeah,
as is right now in their maps alpha test, 100%, I think there's absolutely place for any third-party content, especially supported to the level of Dungeons & Dragonheim.
Yeah, I think that, for the current setup, it's not a huge stretch for somebody to be able to make that stuff compatible, because it's just, at the end of the day, it's just maps and token references.
Stuff you've already uploaded.
It's stuff you've already uploaded.
You're just assigning it into a drop-down menu.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, you're adding grid lines to a map because you didn't put grid lines on it originally. Because it wasn't meant to be a map that was, putting models on and moving around. It was just meant to be a map for reference as a picture.
And for those, because there already are some like that, if it's just for reference as a picture, they don't have lines. It just is what it is. If this isn't a battle map, it doesn't need grid.
Yeah.
Feel free to throw it on there yourself. Maybe WotC maybe that'll be a feature coming up that you can add grid lines.
Overlay grid.
Right. There's no reason not to. I mean, literally just drag and drop, like where do you want this? How big do you want the squares to be? Sort of situation here. I think I'm done. Official stance, 2D, I think we got a good shot. 3D, you're gonna be making it yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna make it yourself. Yeah. Overall, I think that this is just a really kind of exciting time to see.
100%. I'm hype as heck about this.
I'm very happy about it. Like I said, I wasn't sure that we were going to see this.
Yeah.
Based on what had happened earlier in the year. The OGL was
you say earlier in the year. It was December last year, right?
Yeah.
So we're at like the anniversary.
The anniversary of it, yeah. I mean, like all that kind of went down, and then like things really came to a head. And then, like I said, it felt like third party was going to wane like hardcore. Yeah. Like that it was going to, like, this was going to be our last real year of seeing really good third party content,
just stuff that had already been in development.
Yeah. And I was kind of worried that we're gonna see anything, and not only were we not going to see a lot, that we weren't going to see anything that was going to be officially supported in this way, like on D&D Beyond, which makes things just so much easier. So it is very exciting to see this happening, and to see it happening on a scale at which it seems realistic for a lot of people to transfer content over. Yeah. And before the conversation this evening, I hadn't really thought about the implications of DM's Guild to the level at which we discussed tonight, which is pretty interesting, because now I think about it, and I think about your argument about it having it basically like their own place for print and play. Yeah. So it's all still there, except now it's actually easier to access, because now I'm thinking about, like, using the app and going through and like logging into DM's Guild and trying to parse out downloading content to view through there and saving it to, your cell phone or whatever, or your tablet, versus loading it up an app and having everything so easily accessible.
Liching Hour we did for one of our Halloween games. Yes, I purchased it on DM's Guild, have to download the file. Oh, it doesn't work on one browser. Let me open up a different browser on my phone, download it there, save it in my files, get it to open it up with Chrome. If I close my phone screen, guess what? Oh, it doesn't load up. So now I gotta go back to files, open it back up, make sure I don't close the tab, and make sure I don't close it all. Good to go. If I just own it and it's part of its own little tab on D&D Beyond, open it right up. It's there, and it saves your progress and everything. I'm assuming that wouldn't change as far as D&D Beyond's app functionality as it is. If anything, it should improve.
Yeah.
I'm super hype about it, especially with the ability to download the content. Every single book, every spell, every species or class. I have all that saved on my mobile device. And if we don't have good internet access, like in the metal box that we record in, it's all there. It's never been easier to pull up and access a spell or a ruling that I need on the fly. And if I could do that the same thing with third-party content, which right now I can with Dungeons & Dragonheim and How to Warrior Reborn.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do that with the Liching Hour and other wonderful content released by creators.
Yeah. And like I said, it's really good for the small creators. It's really good for WotC. We're getting visibility all around for people that are breaking out and trying to create new content and trying to get it out to the masses. And then WotC for keeping people interested and keeping Dungeons & Dragons relevant.
I'm making myself believe this needs to happen now, because now I'm excited that I can have all my content in one space.
Yeah. Or what about your homebrew content eventually being on D&D Beyond?
I wouldn't do that. It's mine. It's my own.
You don't want to share that with the masses?
They wouldn't want it.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting concept.
Right now, as is, you could share it anyway. Because if you make homebrew content, you can publicly share anything you create. As long as you're not infringing on the rights of licensed content.
Yeah.
You can share whatever you want. Other people can rate it. They can use it in their own games. And there you find a lot of really cool shit in the game because of it. The community on D&D Beyond is wonderful. Always commenting and sharing, and it really helping each other create the best game we can together. This would be doing it in with financial stakes behind it potentially. And I don't intend on selling any goofy items or whatever we come up with. At least not yet.
I'm just saying that once we're 2 years into your custom whole world and WotC approaches us and they're all like, hey, we want that True Strike, on the official D&D Beyond.
Look, we're going
to have to come back and reference this video and I'll be all like, you're eating that crow.
We may have, our custom homebrew stuff, blah, 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 blah. But after we finish Strahd, one of our players wants to start playing in a candy world.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So we're going to have to do that first anyway.
We're pushing your homebrew world
it's
further and back every month.
Yeah.
It's going further back.
Yeah. That's why we had to start playing online games.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on before we head out of here?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything I want to talk about in this.
I'm sure we've forgotten stuff.
Super happy fun times.
It is a lot of super happy fun times. I do enjoy the debates. I agree with everything you said. I also agree with everything I said.
I like your stance.
Yeah. My stance is that I'm perfectly divided on both sides. Slightly leaning towards mine.
I personally enjoy sitting on the fence.
Yes. It's quite comfortable up here. Join me.
It's quite nice.
Yeah. What has it evolved into? We should escape before it gets worse. So for now, I've been Tyler.
And I've been Richard.
And we've been True Strike. Hey adventurers, thanks again for joining us today. Please be sure to give us a follow on our favorite podcasting platforms and YouTube. If there's any questions you'd like to write into the show, you can hit us up on Threads or Instagram. New episodes release every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for listening to True Strike.